Dad, I think you're suffering from a condition known as voyage voice.
Oh, don't know how you guys don't have it. You're both fine? Both of you guys, right? Amazing. Screaming through cornfields in the woods of Indiana all through the night will do that. Well, I'm Adam.
And I'm Andrew.
And sleep is definitely overrated, right, bud?
Yeah.
We are still recovering from a crazy weekend at Hollywood Nights with a bunch of amazing people, and we'll chat about that next episode. But today, we welcome our great friends and contributors to the show from the past, the legendary and slightly internet famous Clint and Shari Novak. Thanks for joining us again, guys.
Excuse me, it's mildly popular. You need to get my introduction right, sir.
I knew it was something like that. I knew I was close. So, mildly popular is slightly...
Mildly popular.
I think that sounds worse than slightly famous.
Both of them are right on the same tier of almost an insult, but probably more of a compliment.
And the greater compliment goes to Shari. How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having us.
Oh, so cool to have you. And we are excited to talk about today our trip to the Neighbors of the North that we had a couple of weeks ago, and a lot of interesting things that we did. But first, before we do get there and a couple other things, tell us about your trip to New York City this past weekend. We were sadly unable to attend because of Hollywood Nights, so how did that wind up going?
Well, it was good. It was a very, very brief trip to Coney Island. It was Shari and myself's first time to New York City and Coney Island. And we got up there. I worked until 5 o'clock on Saturday, and then we drove up to New Jersey. So we got in about 9:30 on Saturday. And our hotel, which was a Days Hotel, is what it was called. Not a Days Inn. Days Hotel.
It had the Days Inn logo.
It was a Days Inn, but it was not a Days Inn. It was a Days Hotel.
They weren't paying for the full sponsorship.
No, that definitely was a Days Inn. It was like the upgrade of a Days Inn is the Days Hotel. They had like a huge conference center where they had some type of ethnic party going on with very, very loud DJ.
Karaoke.
Yeah, something was definitely going on, but. The highlight of that evening is the owner of Funland lived like 15 minutes from where we were staying, so we all decided to go out and get a drink before we headed off or went to bed. And the only place that was attached to the hotel was Hooters, so we ended up going to Hooters for the evening.
Okay.
A very family-friendly place. There was more kids in there than adults.
That's
so
true. Yes.
And a lot
That
of
was my second time ever in a Hooters.
Mine too. Yeah.
And Shari, did it feel a little creepy?
Not at our table. There was definitely what you would consider a Hooters regular restaurant.
So some drooling and because of the food, of course.
He was happy to get the attention.
Yeah.
All right, very cool. And then how did Luna Park and Coney Island? What did you think of that whole experience?
It was good. We got in there about 8:30 in the morning, so nothing was open. So we were kind of walking around an empty boardwalk. It's kind of funny because they had a marathon or something going on. Some type of run.
Yeah, something run.
And so there were a couple cars in the parking lot. We parked right next to the baseball stadium, which is in the Coney Island attraction lineup. And, as the day went on, it got busier and busier. And when we left at 5 o'clock, it was the busiest I've ever seen a beach. And when we went back to our car, there was nobody in the parking lot. So there's only like 30 cars in the parking lot. So everybody takes the transit system to get there.
Well, it's New York City. Yeah. A lot of people probably don't even own cars.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
It was really great. They had loud music in the boardwalk everywhere.
Oh, it was fantastic.
It was amazing, and we really enjoyed hanging out, doing the Luna Park stuff. And then we got the chance to meet the owners of Dino's Wonder Wheel, which is 99 years old this year, and it was
Great
a blast.
Family.
Oh yeah, it was a blast chatting with them. They're so excited to see us there, and got us on the Wonder Wheel. We would have been able to go on whatever we wanted, but we were so limited on time. We only had a chance to do a couple of things, and then we had to leave.
Okay, so what is a 99-year-old Wonder Wheel like?
Well, it scared the crap out of me.
Yes.
We'll have a video of that at some point on the In the Loop channel, but. It was great. It's crazy that somebody 100 years ago thought that was a good idea. I mean,
another wheel like that where it has the moving cars.
There's one in Disneyland, but she hasn't been to Disneyland yet.
No, I haven't.
And now she'll go to Disneyland. She'll be like, "Ooh, Star Wars! Who cares about Wonder Wheels?"
Oh yeah, exactly. Yep, it's old hat. Wow.
But Cyclone was fun. We did front and back seats on that, and Thunderbolt was painful.
Yes.
That's what I hear.
One and done.
Ironically, the much older coaster was smoother than the much newer coaster.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. And we did all the crazy unique coasters there, like that Soaring Eagle, which we missed at Canada's Wonderland. And now we're not so upset that we missed it, because that weird lay down thing, that was just crazy.
I'm very glad we did it. It was definitely a great experience, but I was a little fearful during parts.
And somebody lost their wig on it, so their wig was sitting in the brake run. That was funny.
Oh no! Did you? I hope you got a picture of that.
Yeah, we were too busy fearing for our lives, because Sherry's like, "This thing is not holding me in."
Right.
There was nothing touching me on the backside.
Yep.
So every time we flipped over, I held on with all my grip strength. I knew I wouldn't fall out, but I just couldn't help it.
Isn't it the weirdest thing how you load and unload? You just kind of walk into it.
You climb up a little ladder, yeah.
It's the most bizarre thing. And for both of us, when we just did it for the first time, right, it was weird. They kept, what do they keep doing to us? Remember the ride ops?
They told us, step down and step up on this.
Exactly, because there are so many different steps. They told me to step down one and him to step up one, and we weren't on the right stairs, and it was so awkward. Yeah, it's a weird ride.
I felt the same, where, when we would flip over, I felt like I was going to fall out, so I held on tight.
Yeah, so you could relate to Sherry with that, yeah.
Yeah.
Such a weird ride. Okay, yeah.
The crazier of the rides was definitely the steeplechase launch coaster, which, again, seems like a fair ride, because it had a base and everything, it could be moved to a different location easily. But the launch system, the position you're sitting in is you're crouching, riding a horse, straddling. Mm-hmm. And then you have the disco coaster, how they have the restraint that comes up and pushes on your back.
Definitely.
They have that for the restraint, but it's a launch coaster, so you're being pushed back onto that restraint at a very high speed. So it was kind of crazy.
I think it was set on Heimlich maneuver also.
Yeah.
It was a very forceful
it slapped your back. Yeah. They were definitely dominatrix there at Luna Park.
Well, hopefully you didn't eat right before you did that. So
family friendly bottles.
Google dominatrix.
Well, theme park families, we don't know what a dominatrix is, right, Rue? Or Hooters, what kind of restaurant that is either, right, Bud? No, we don't know.
We hung out, and we haven't even gotten to this yet, but we were hanging out in Canada with you guys, and what this kid was pointing out at a mini golf course, which we have on video, by the way, very inappropriate, okay? Thank God your other son grew up thinking that was a rocket ship, okay?
Exactly, yes. He's the good one, right? Right, Bud?
Yeah,
and you're the evil one, exactly. So you got all your credits in there.
We missed a few credits because we just ran out of time, but we're going back. We're definitely going to go back. The food was amazing. The atmosphere was fun. It's definitely something we're going back to. We'll stay into the evening so we can get to experience it at night.
Okay. Good. And we haven't been there yet, so next time you do go, it could definitely be a joint trip again. I think.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I would love to see it, and we've just never done it before. Kind of like Rye Playland, which is in our own home state, and we haven't been there yet either. So a couple of parks that we definitely have to do, and they're both kind of in that same area. Now, but I think that steeplechase ride is exactly like Darien Lake's Moto Coaster. If that was a Zamperla one, that steeplechase one. Yeah, so then...
Luna Park is all Zamperla. That's what, it's owned by Zamperla, it's run by Zamperla, so it's just a bunch of Zamperla rides. And the two new rides that they introduced, which was Clockwork and Atlantic Aerodynamic Atlantic, something Atlantic in flight terms.
Oh my goodness, that rolls off the tongue so easily.
Shame on me. That one was not a very unique ride for Zamperla, because they pretty much was just the same as their airplane ride, but they put it on a 20, 30 foot tower. But their Clockwork one was very, very interesting, the way it intermingled with itself like a spokes on a clock. So the sprocket.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, I'll be looking forward to seeing that video. And then looking into the very, very near future, we've got a monster week coming up at Funland of Fredericksburg, which has really been a long time in the making. So just tell us a little bit about this week's festivities.
Oh, man. So today I went and got the official ride permit for the go-karts.
Wow.
And we have our last day of cleanup tomorrow. Signage arrives. We get the signs up. And the fence was put up this past Sunday. The construction crew, the contractors, have left the facility as of this week. And it is our go-kart track. So we've got this multi-level go-kart track that opens Saturday, June 8th at noon. And we have a lot of festivities building up to it because we have to throw a lot of different parties. So we have our official grand opening with the mayor on Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. Then we have a VIP tailgate party that'll be happening 7 p.m. on the 5th. And then we have a friends and family night. All the staff members got to invite 5 friends and family to get to give out tickets. So they get to enjoy it on Thursday. And then Friday, we're going to have a season pass holder night, annual pass holder night. And then Saturday morning, noon, it opens up to the public.
Oh, so great. And Shari, I know that you don't necessarily love go-karts, but maybe just for the inaugural weekend, you can jump on there to say, you were one of the first riders, because I think Clint can probably hook up something like that for you.
Well, I'm going to each one of those events, so I'm sure it's going to happen at some point. Clint already said that they're going to put a GoPro on me if I do it, so you're going to just hear a lot of, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, and crying probably.
As you keep passing every other person. I love it.
Yeah,
she is just a lie to everybody who listens to your show because she is not going to the mayor ribbon cutting ceremony at 10 a.m.
Sorry, I will be at work, but I'm going to Wednesday evening.
Yeah,
okay.
So she's going to 4 of the 5 events.
Yes.
Well, I will give you credit for that. 4 or 5 is still passing, so I think that is...
And exactly how many of the events are you guys going to make?
Oh, gosh. Well, if you could, call up Andrew's principal and say, you know what, school's not that important, Funland of Fredericksburg is, or probably in your area, are schools out by now?
Well, some of them are, yeah.
Some are. Yeah, most. There we go. And in our area, we've got 3.5 weeks. It's left. It's ridiculous. So I wish I could. But this guy, he loves school, right, bud?
Oh.
And right. You love school. That's you. Yeah, he doesn't want.
It's overrated.
It's overrated.
He's such a smart kid. There's nothing more that he could learn in school. I mean, he has to learn hands-on at this point.
He's tutoring his classmates, exactly. But yes, we will get out there as soon as we can. We're excited, and especially after our experience in Niagara Falls, it's something that we can't wait to get to. So, if you're anywhere in Virginia, the Carolinas, if you live in China, Australia, if you're in Antarctica, you're going to want to get to Funland of Fredericksburg to try this new track out, the only one of its kind in that area. So, best of luck this week with all of the festivities.
Thank you. It's we're definitely today. We started talking about it. We think so many people are going to come on Saturday. We're talking to a neighboring church to see if they'd be willing to let us park cars in their parking lot. And the Fredericksburg Sheriff's Department, we're talking about doing traffic control that day.
Oh, my gosh.
So we can redirect traffic for Funland to the church parking lot.
Oh, I think that would be a cool reciprocal thing. Use their parking lot, have the priest and all of the patrons of the church come on over and get a free ride in. I think that sounds fair.
We'll do some type of team building or something for their staff. We'll put something together. But we haven't even talked to them yet, so they might say no. Go park your car somewhere else. We don't know.
All right. Well, fingers crossed. But I would love that picture of seeing a bunch of nuns and priests and rabbis and all that, all racing each other. I think this is something that could go viral.
I think this is a very progressive church, so I don't think you'll be seeing a lot of that on the go-karts.
All right, maybe a lot of, since progressive, how about tie-dye and flowers and that kind of thing, perhaps? Maybe something like that.
If not riding coasters will give you the blues, it's Andrew's News.
We're going to get to the trip to Canada in a sec, but we have to hit Andrew's News. But we're going to cut it short with just 2 stories for this week and see what you guys think about these. So we start out with number 1, bud.
SeaWorld Orlando has released a teaser video for their new 2020 coaster. The video gives the viewer a POV ride of their new Polar Sea, flying through mountains and icebergs for, quote, plunging thrills and predatory heights. This will be their 6th coaster at the park. The clues here seem pretty obvious what type of coaster it will be.
All right, so this is just the last couple days. I don't know if either of you have seen that short little video from SeaWorld Orlando yet?
I did.
So what kind of coaster are you thinking it's going to be? It's very subtle, right?
Well, I would have, it could have been a dive coaster, or not a dive coaster. It could have been a flying coaster, but they already have a flying coaster. Oddly enough, not with a flying creature.
Right.
So, it's a flying coaster, but the actual animal it represents doesn't fly. So
I guess flies through the water, flapping its wings. Right.
Yeah. So what are we supposed to assume? It's a dive coaster?
Especially with that last camera angle where you're up top and then it goes to the water. Add that to the fact that San Diego is adding theirs, for next year as well, right? I think it's for next year that San Diego is putting in their short dive coaster. So that seems like it's got to be a given.
It's really weird because Tampa already has a dive coaster, to have one so close.
In the same company too, not that really matters necessarily, but interesting. Now both of you have been to SeaWorld, right?
Yes.
Okay, which we haven't, but do you think that is a good addition for the park, a dive coaster?
It's a smart move for the company because the more the way the world is going, keeping animals in captivity is not going to be something they're going to be able to do much longer.
Right.
And so to refocus their commitment to rides, attractions, a new IP like Sesame Street, these are all smart things for SeaWorld to do. So it'll be interesting to see, where SeaWorld is 10 years from now.
Oh my gosh, it could be a completely different looking place. Absolutely. We are excited to get there, though. It's an interesting collection, and the way it's changing, someplace we definitely want to go. Shari, that's a place that you really like their coaster collection, even though it's not too big?
Definitely there's a few I like. Nothing that was super, nothing that's top 20 favorite rides for me or anything, but it's a nice park. We had a good time when we went there.
Okay. Great. Well, definitely someplace we are looking forward to getting to. And so we come to story number 2.
In the world of theme park lawsuits, a New Jersey doctor, Christopher Vavison, contends he suffered severe and permanent damage to his neck and spine during a painful ride on King of the Cod. The lawsuit in Camden federal court contends park employees did not warn the 6'2" doctor that the person of his body size was not a candidate for riding safely.
And our second lawsuit story.
In Disney news, a Celebration woman was attacked by a bird and suffered severe brain injuries as she walked on a dock at Walt Disney World Resort. According to a lawsuit that claims Disney new seasonal nesting birds are a threat to guests. Dixon suffered a traumatic brain injury and had herniated discs in her neck after the bird was dive-bombed and struck Dix. She will need surgery. It happened as Dixon walked on the dock at the Polynesian Village Resort, where visitors can take a boat across the Seven Seas Lagoon to Magic Kingdom or another resort, the lawsuit said. The lawsuit accused Disney of not keeping the dock safe and failing to properly warn visitors of all the dangers, as well as giving Dixon a false sense of security, among other allegations.
Okay. Well, first of all, interesting 2 stories, because both of you can attend to these 2 stories. First of all, this first spot, the Seven Seas Lagoon at the Polynesian Village Resort, both of you know that exact spot?
I don't know the exact spot. I've been to the Polynesian before, though.
Okay, and as you know, lots of water in that area, right? Lots of marshland and lakes and ponds and that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, so a bird dive-bombing her and having a traumatic brain injury. That is interesting. That sounds like more something from Brian with the Civil Gore podcast about a horror movie, The Birds, that they just did recently. Disney should have known that a bird was going to come after her head and warn her. That is bizarre.
I have 2 feelings of this.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
is the bird itself a Disney attraction? Okay, so if they're at Animal Kingdom and you're eaten by a lion, sue Disney World.
Yes.
If you are walking in a part of the park in a bird that has nothing to do with Disney just happens to attack you, then you're just going to have to suck it up and deal with Mother Nature.
Fabio, then, is all these years later might be able to do a lawsuit, right?
Sure, well, I'm pretty sure the park just settled with him immediately.
They just handed him a suitcase right as he got off Apollo's chariot.
Here is your suitcase of money for riding the coaster, and now here's your other suitcase of money for what the goose did to your face.
Oh my gosh!
If you would kindly go off and make butter commercials for another 10 years, that would be great. Thanks.
Oh my gosh! And then everyone like Andrew's age and younger has no idea what we're talking about with butter commercials, but you've seen that picture.
Or Fabio.
Or Fabio. Well, he's seen the picture. He's aware of that. So that is kind of strange. Yeah, how Disney's supposed to control nature, that is pretty odd.
Especially since, she's saying they should have warned her that, that danger is possible. And how is the nesting habit of a bird could change week by week. They could change locations, go to other places. They could have flown in, landed. I mean, it's just impossible to have Disney police everything for everybody all the time.
It is. It's impossible. I certainly feel bad for her, right, bud?
Yeah.
I mean, having any kind of injury stinks, but it's just like that story we talked about with Dorney, where a girl in a haunt freaked out and was scared before she even went and fell in a haunt and sustained injuries. In similar ways, she should not have gone to a scary place if she knew she was going to be scared, and that's why Funland of Fredericksburg has... Do you remember what the safe word is, bud?
It was a thing from Elmo.
Something from Elmo. You're close. Yes, exactly.
Big Bird.
Yeah, exactly. Big Bird. So these kind of situations are impossible to predict. So it'll be interesting to see if anything becomes that. Now, Clint, that first story with you, not as much Shari, but with you, he was 6'2". Now, you are what height, Clint?
Well, my license says 6'3", but I think I'm 6'2" now.
Ah, yes, as age is catching up, you're shrinking a little bit. All right, so 6'3", 6'2". So you're the exact height of this doctor. Now, we know that there are some rides, like Superman at New England, that there are maximum heights, which is usually a little bit over that. You've never been affected with a ride and being too tall?
No, it's usually past 7 feet is when it becomes an issue.
Okay, on most normal, typical rides, right. There are a few Intamins like Superman at New England that are a little bit lower than that even. So this one, you've done King Dakar before, I believe, right?
Well, unfortunately, I'm not allowed to talk about this because I have a pending lawsuit because I feel that me being 6'3", according to my license, I have a no. I haven't done King Dakar. I don't find it to be a very comfortable ride, but if he can sue because he's 6'3" and he got hurt on the coaster, then every person who's 6'3" can then sue the park.
It's an amazing thing. And I don't think of that being a whiplash-inducing ride in any way. You get pinned to the back of the seat more so than anything, so that seems odd to me. As a general manager of a park, you know that these are things that pop up all the time, and some of them are certainly way more frivolous than others.
People, you can sue for any reason. It's just a matter of if your lawsuit has merit or not. And the park itself, I assume, has ride signage and stuff that says "ride at your own risk." It will have plenty of other warning signs prior to them going on, and I don't know what the signage says, but the signs probably or could have something that say something along the lines of the height maximum, but usually they don't have the height maximums unless it's really necessary.
And that's one of the parts of the lawsuit, is that they claimed that the ride signage had too small of a print and it was very hard to see. So that's one of the aspects of the lawsuit. And you wonder, because he went to the hospital way after that, so how do you prove the injuries happened on the ride when he went to the hospital 3 weeks later or something like that? So that just seems insane to me.
I mean, it's I don't know how it is in New Jersey, but in Virginia, it is the law that you have to read all posted signs and listen to all safety announcements prior to going on a ride.
Okay. So there is that law in place there. Yeah.
Even if he could, they're not. You're not allowed to use the excuse the writing was too small, because you have a legally binding. You have to read it in order to ride the ride.
Okay. So all the onus is on the rider at that point. Okay, very interesting. We've come south to you guys so many times, so it was a cool kind of spin then for you guys to come up north. And when did the idea of coming up to this northern trip come up? Was it all about initially just the research for the track? Is that how that started?
And actually, it's funny. Southwest Airlines was doing a promotion early this year that if you got their credit card and you did so much spending within a 3-month period, you got a companion pass, which means you get to, every time you purchase a ticket, you get a person who gets to fly for free with you. Shari being my companion, we thought, okay, we'll get this, and then we'll do a whole bunch of what we'll call micro trips to go ride roller coasters we've never been to. And so we decided the first one was going to be Canada's Wonderland. We booked another one for Six Flags Over Georgia, Kentucky Kingdom, and we're looking for somewhere to go in August and September.
Okay. Very cool. That's such a great deal. So that works out so well. Awesome.
And we planned the trip because we thought the go-kart track would be open for a month at that point. So I was like, that'll be plenty of time. Opens at the end of April. We'll be good. So, boy, was I wrong on that one.
Well, it's impossible to predict the weather. I remember seeing a lot of those pictures of mud pits underneath that construction site. So that's the hard...
It was crazy.
Oh, it's insane. Well, we started off our trip as you guys got off the plane, headed towards Fantasy Island, formerly Martin's Fantasy Island, which is about a half hour outside of Buffalo and a little bit less than that from the falls. And we met Doug there, a part of their PR staff, and how great of a host was Doug.
Oh, man. I really enjoyed going to the park, and I wish we could have spent some more time there because we really kind of just jammed it into an already jam-packed schedule.
Yep.
But yeah, Doug, great guy. He actually ended up hanging out with us for the next 2 days, that day and then the next day. And yeah, great guy. And I really enjoyed the park. A very cute park. Definitely something for families, and if you have smaller kids, I believe they'll enjoy it more. But they had some extreme rides in there too, so we had a chance to do their roller coaster, a couple of their roller coasters, and then some of their extreme rides.
And it started out off with Silver Comet. And Shari, what did you think of it? As I think we were looking at each other and perhaps a little bit nervous seeing a wooden coaster in a small park. Yeah, what'd you think?
It exceeded expectations for sure. We were all pleasantly surprised, happy with the airtime, and we all said it was longer than we thought it was going to be. It felt like it was going to be like a minute 30-second out and back, but no, it went on for a while, and we really liked it.
Which was terrific, and that's the thing. If it was a normal day for us, we would have done multiple rides on that, undoubtedly.
Oh, exactly.
But we were that busy. And doing research into it, it wasn't that old a ride, right, Clint?
I don't know how old it was, but because I already forgot that. But yeah, I mean, what was it?
I think it turned 20. We got pins.
That's exactly it. It was 99, yeah. Right? Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Not a very old coaster.
Doug gave us pins. That's how quickly Clint forgets.
I'm terrible.
You live in the moment.
This podcast should have been done 2 weeks ago when I remembered things.
Well, that's why I texted you 47 times today to remind you we were recording. So, CCI coaster, Bud, what did you think of it?
I loved it. It was very smooth and they maintained it well. And I thought it was going to be like a rough coaster that was just kind of meh, but it was pretty forceful and it was fun.
Oh, it had some terrific moments. We went over to the Gravitron next, and thankfully Clint did it with us. It was a ride that I have never done before. As it was getting pretty warm, I don't blame Shari for taking off of that one. And
yeah, I skipped that.
Yeah, which was a smart decision. And the weird part for me, as Clint pointed out, it was the weirdest thing to see the ride up in the Gravitron sitting at a booth. I mean, can you guys imagine working that ride when it's 95 degrees in the middle of the summer?
Absolutely not. No way. Doug even said that. He's like, I can't get over that someone has to be in there.
That's amazing to have to look at people spinning around you, and there's certainly no air conditioning in that. Now, Bud, what was the surprise about the Gravitron that we didn't know as we started to hear some weird things?
So, you're on this little, it's not really a seat, but your back is it's kind of
like a plastic shelf almost.
Yeah, and your back is against that, and apparently they slide. So once you get enough forces, they like slide up, which is it hurts a little bit because like it kind of bangs. But
and Clint thought that was hilarious because we had no idea, and obviously he knew that was going to happen. But I was happy to do it once. Is that a ride that you like, Clint?
It was fine. I couldn't do it a lot. There's a lot of G-forces being pulled on that thing. And it's hot, too.
Yes.
But funny thing is we were there and it was like, 90 degrees that day or something?
It so felt like it. With the sun and the fact that up north we haven't had any hot days before that, it felt really warm. It was definitely at least mid-80s, absolutely. And so after that, the crazy surprise of the whole trip, for me, knowing Canada's Wonderland, was Mind Warp. And Sherry and I laughed because we said, oh my gosh, we probably should have looked at it before we actually did it to see what it did. And so, guys, explain to us exactly what Mind Warp was.
Well, it's this, extreme fair ride, like a traveling carnival ride that goes upside down, kind of like the Claw, but everybody faces outward. And then at some point, the seats like detach and rock back and forth, and there's a lot of weird things that happened that I wasn't really sure if it was all necessary. But I giggled like a little schoolgirl on it for quite some time.
Laughed the entire time.
Oh my gosh, such a weird ride. Yep.
It was weird. Yeah, there's no other way to describe it. You just never knew which direction you were going to go next.
And there was that one part that I think we all made noises when we were up there for what felt like 6 seconds, where the balance was like perfect and we were up there forever.
Well, yeah, we thought we might be stuck. Well, I know when the ride up yelled, put your head back, I was like, wait, the ride's not over? And then, it went a little crazy.
Right? That's one of the longest cycles of any flat ride I've ever done. It felt like we were on that thing forever. Did you like it, bud?
I liked it. But it does pull some crazy forces. But like when they told you to put your head back, apparently it wasn't loud enough, so I banged my head when it started. And like the pads are way too high, so my head wasn't hitting the pads.
Oh,
so I was hitting the plastic part.
Okay, I could see that being a problem. I didn't even think of that. So, an insane ride. The operator knew a little bit about its history and knew that was the only one in North America. And so, 2 reasons right there to get to Fantasy Island, the Silver Comet and Mind Warp. So, we kind of sprinted through the park after that, doing their swings, which were actually spun at a pretty fast rate. They're spinning Wild Mouse Coaster as well. And then we had lunch, and I thought the lunch was really well done, guys, for a theme park.
So good.
Oh, yes. I got to have beef on weck for the first time, and I was definitely a fan of that. We got some buffalo wings in Buffalo, of course.
Had to do it. Have you ever even heard that term, beef on weck, before?
No, I had to ask you guys what that meant. And now that I've had it, I actually have seen it a couple of times now. I'm like, okay.
Okay, that's weird. Yeah.
I like the pig, what was it called?
Oh, the pig wings? Is that what it was?
Pig wings, yeah.
No, those were excellent, and that was all provided for us, which was just so kind of Doug, and Waters in that park really helped too. It felt like we were more like in Central Virginia, so that was really great. So the new kids area in front looks great with a lot of that terrific theming, and it's just sad. We definitely could have spent another hour and done more stuff, but we just had to sprint out of there. But we actually did a small interview with Doug, so why don't we take a listen and see what we talked about.
Sure.
All right, we are here with Doug from Fantasy Island, just outside of Niagara Falls, who has been a terrific, gracious host to us as we spent a beautiful Sunday afternoon here at the park. Thanks so much for having us, Doug.
Hey, thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate you guys coming out and just seeing what we have to offer.
It really has been a terrific day. We are here with Clint and Shari from In the Loop. And so first of all, right off the bat, if you could just give us a little brief history of the park up to where we're at now.
Well, it has a really interesting history. It originally opened in 1961, and you can notice a lot of things from that era. Our classic Western Town Shootout debuted with the park, and then over the years, another owner came in. His name was Marty, and he actually had owned a traveling carnival, and he was looking for kind of a retirement project, a place to park his ride permanently. So that's where you see a lot of our attractions today. And then he also built Silver Comet, which is the spiritual successor to the Crystal Beach Comet.
Okay.
Which was actually temporarily restored here, so it made its way over to the Great Escape. So a lot lot of great things here. We're a great family park, so good for families in the immediate vicinity of the park. And I personally love it here. I grew up coming here.
So you have that personal connection to the park, and that really is terrific. Now, we had seen the coaster from the park before, but we had not had a chance to do Silver Comet, and it was just such a wonderful revelation how incredibly smooth it is. How would you describe the coaster as giving a little bit of a background and ride experience of your star attraction for the park?
Well, I've been on quite a few wooden coasters, modern ones, older ones, and I think it's really a perfect mix between modern engineering, where it's smooth and enjoyable, but it also has that classic feel. And we've been fortunate enough to be able to invest in it year after year to keep it running just as good as it does, running as good as it is today as it did when it opened.
It really is incredibly smooth, so in that way, it really was a revelation, just great to ride. What did you think of Silver Comet, bud?
It was really fun.
It really was. Had some great elements, and it looks terrific. And it was, way longer than you think a shorter coaster is going to be, as it's around Phoenix height is what I was thinking when we went up it.
I thought it was rougher than it actually was. I thought it was
rougher than it was?
Yeah.
Smoother than it was, I think, yes, exactly. Now, along with that, there are some unique flat rides as well. In particular, our second one that we did today after doing Silver Comet. And that ride, what makes it so unique?
Well, it's a technical park. I think it's called a technical park loop fighter. And it's the only one in North America. So there are traveling models over in Europe. And it basically has 3 degrees of rotation. So it's kind of your standard looping pendulum ride where the ride carriage spins and the arm loops, but then each individual set of 4 seats will flip independently of each other as well. So every single ride on that is unique, depending on who you have in it. And it's intense. It's definitely the most intense ride we have here.
Looking at it, you might think it's just a traditional claw ride, something not that different than what Dorney Park has. But then once you've ridden it, and we didn't take time to look at the actual cycle beforehand, and it is such a unique experience, and crazy that another one has not been built in North America. So definitely one of the many reasons to come out to Fantasy Island to try that unique flat ride. And so, as we were talking about, this is approximately the 3rd year now that Apex has had ownership of the park and is managing it. What are some of the things over the years that they've done to change the experience for the patrons at the park?
Well, you'll definitely notice some bigger and smaller touches here and there. Mm-hmm. Last year, we did a really great revamp of our children's area in Fairy Tale Forest, where we had some of these assets that were themed to fairy tales, because there used to be a Garden of Fables area of the park. And so we basically wanted to take the spirit of that, a land that opened with the park in 1961, and give it a modern take. And so we're actually walking past it right now. To our left, you can see the yellow brick road. We have Oakley the talking tree, Cinderella's pumpkins. So a lot of those great fairy tales that everybody's familiar with, we wanted to give our younger guests a way to experience those firsthand.
Oh, it looks great. We've got the scary-looking tree there, but that it's also smiling, and some of the rides. What are those little pumpkins with our little Ferris wheel there?
Yep, we have a children's Ferris wheel that has pumpkin carriages.
Yes.
We have a Goosey Gander, which actually has a unique history of its own. It's a ride that actually predates the park. I can't recall exactly what year that was manufactured, but it's Herschel, I believe.
Yep.
And then we have spinning teacups. We have a kiddie train that plays, has an audio soundtrack with fairy tales going on at it. And actually later this summer, we're going to add a children's coaster as well called Dragon's Flight. So we'll have another option for our young thrill seekers to kind of get their first experience at riding a coaster.
Oh, terrific. So that will give the park how many coasters with the addition of that one now?
Well, let me count on my hands.
Yeah, take as much time as you need.
It would give us 4 total.
4, and okay, and that's progressing into the ranks of getting credits that are much needed. So this area really looks great. And then water park opens up pretty soon, I imagine.
Yeah, next weekend. So we open our water park annually. Memorial Day weekend, pretty standard around here. And, we're excited to bring back, last year we did a major renovation on 2 older water slides and basically made them brand new again, and we re-debuted them as Double Dare Falls. So that would give us, 4 adult slide complexes, 1 kiddie slide complex, wave pool, and a lazy river. So you got your basic water park stuff there, anything you could possibly need, and it's just a great way to beat the heat.
And I think in that way, this park, you have so much versatility in the fact that it's small enough that if you only had a couple of hours on an excursion from Niagara Falls, you could just do a couple hours and get every ride in, or you could spend all day and hang out in the water park and get cooled off in the heat of the afternoon, and then there are plenty of other rides that you'd be able to do.
Yep. And, the great benefit of, linking up with Apex now and being an Apex property is if you buy a season pass here, you can use it at the other gated parks or FECs we have throughout the country. So if you're near Indiana Beach or Sahara Sands or Big Kahunas, and you want another gated park experience, your season pass is there. We'll get you in here. Or Boomers or Speed Zone FECs, their season passes are also valid.
Okay, so that's huge that throughout the country now that Fantasy Island is connected with other parks, and that would really be a nice perk to be able to do that as well. Well, we know, as we just experienced lunch, and how was lunch, guys?
It was great. It was like some of the best theme park food we've ever eaten.
And what do you think, bud?
It was great, too.
It really was, and I think that's part of what's changing here is really paying attention to the food services and bringing in new products, and I imagine that's one of the things you're most excited about as well.
Absolutely. We've put a lot of effort into really recruiting some great talent, and I have already done it, but you've heard me speak the world of our revenue director, Sarah.
Terrific.
She has done some magical things with our menu, and with our all-season dining pass, we want to give our season pass holders, an incredible value for their money, and I think that we've done that, and we're going to continue to enhance that as we move forward.
Which is terrific. And just the grounds in general, if you haven't been here before, we've got a nice lagoon with an island and some bridges. It kind of has a feel of a number of other parks we've been to. So it really has a nice touch between the old and the new, and you can see things progressing and getting better all the time. So any other festivals or anything else that we haven't mentioned that you want to talk about for 2019?
Oh yeah, we have a really great, and I take pride in how much we've built out our special event lineup. So next month we're going to do Country and Barbecue Fest, and what that is it's going to be specialty food offerings, kind of similar to the barbecue you had today, but expanded menu on that. We'll have live bands. We're going to have craft vendors out on the Midway. I'm trying to get a chainsaw carver in, so a lot of great entertainment options for you there. Each year we do Declaration Celebration, so this year it's 4 consecutive nights of fireworks, live music, and entertainment. As we get towards the end of the season in August, we're going to have our Kids Fest event, which is going to be just for kids, special events on the Midway, games, activities, and our headlining musical act, Choo Choo Soul with Genevieve. That's actually a Disney Channel show.
We know them, yes.
So they're fantastic. We're going to have them out. And then finally, as we enter September, October, we do an Oktoberfest each year, which is, craft brews, specialty food items, live and cultural entertainment, and special games. And then finally, you can't end the season without a Halloween event, right? So we do Halloween horror, which is treats by day. We know trick-or-treat trails for the kids, pumpkin painting, friendly activities, friendly entertainment. And then it gets scary at night. We have haunted house, we have some scare zones, and we have scary entertainment. So we do some really interesting stuff at night in the entertainment realm, and it's a lot of fun. Halloween horror is my favorite time of year. So.
Well, I think, Andrew, you would agree with that?
I would like to come to that because we are starting to get into like a lot of haunt stuff. So yeah, that might be a thing that we will have to come to in the future.
Absolutely. And Alex will eventually get you there, right? No, you're never going to want to be scared. Okay, well, it sounds like the terror here won't be so bad for you.
The candy.
Yeah, candy. Okay, the candy part. He's okay with the candy part.
I mean, who could say no to free candy? And we completely understand that with our younger demographic, not everybody wants to be scared. So we do the, the no scare necklaces that you've kind of seen throughout the industry. And then we actually, in our haunted house at the beginning of the night, we do a monsterless matinee, is what we call it.
Okay.
Where we allow kids or people who don't want to be scared to actually walk through our haunted house without any scare actors in it, just to, get a first, dip a toe in the water and see how they feel about it. And if they want to come back with scare actors, if they think they're brave enough, they're certainly welcome to.
Well, that's a brilliant move, because in our last episode, we talked about coasters and working your way up to certain levels. Yeah. So with haunts, that makes perfect sense too. Mm-hmm. Well, that is terrific. Hopefully, this is a park that everyone will be able to get to, as it is a park on the rise, and we love hearing these kind of stories of parks just getting better and better and better year by year. So, Doug, thank you so much for having us. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you guys so much for coming out, and thank you for reaching out. Certainly happy to have you guys out here and to experience, just what our goals are here and what we're aiming to do, especially in the greater Western New York community. And if anybody wants to come in from outside of the state, we do have our weekday out-of-state offer, which is a discounted admission, and you can learn more on our website at fantasyislandny.com.
Okay, so definitely check that out. That is great. We know Kentucky Kingdom has had great success with that as well for out-of-state, so definitely check that out. It's a park you won't want to miss. So thank you once again.
Thank you.
All right, so that was very cool, and thankfully that wasn't goodbye with Doug, that we wound up spending the rest of the day with him in Niagara Falls as well as Canada's Wonderland, so that was great.
If you guys want to see a video clip of Adam and Andrew interviewing Doug on our YouTube page, on our Fantasy Island tour and review, we have a quick clip of that, because, there's nothing more entertaining than videotaping another podcast doing what they're supposed to be doing. I love doing that to Coaster Studio. I just follow him around and videotape him videotaping other things, and then be like, this is all he does the whole time he's at the park. He just videotapes stuff.
That was one of my favorite videos ever, because I could just stare at his hairdo for hours. How impeccable that looks. A fun, entertaining video that was. So I didn't even know we were taped. But, okay. So you did? You saw him. I was focused and in the zone, so I missed that. From there, we had the short drive. That wasn't all that bad, and got to the Canadian side, got to Niagara Falls, and this was interesting as it was packed there. And our first thing we wound up doing was the go-kart place, which you have the name of, and that was called
Clifton Hills. And so the interesting thing is, first of all, getting across the border into Canada, they're very polite and very eager to have us come to their country. And then the big issue was we were there for Victoria weekend.
Yep, Victoria Day, exactly.
Victoria Day weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And so at 1 o'clock or whatever we got there, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, the parking was already full for the Niagara Speedway area. So we actually, since we knew the guy, he was able to open up the parking lot long enough for us to squeeze in there real quick. And it was great. We had a great time. We were able to do the Niagara Speedway, which is if you've ever seen, there's a lot of like videos and stuff on Facebook about it being like the Mario Kart track. And so it got a lot of publicity about that.
Yep.
It's a really good track, very, very expensive track. But it was really cool. They had like 80-something cars, and they would have 36 on the track at any given time. And we did a cool YouTube video of our experience there. I passed Adam at one point on the track. Adam and Andrew passed those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Then we passed you again.
Oh, can you say that a little louder, please, bud?
Details.
Yeah. I don't know.
Edit. This is where we edit out that part. Clint passes Adam and Andrew, and let's pick it up from there, guys.
Yeah, I was confused with that edit. I mean, I remember waving to you and pointing at you as we were going past. I mean, I think that...
you cut that part out of the video.
What's up with that, right?
I think it was just salty.
You know what? I think for this episode, we're going to... I think for this episode, we're going to cut out all of Clint's lines.
Okay.
All right, you okay with that?
It's just going to be Shari on the interview.
Yep, it'll just be Shari, and I'm fine with that. So, yeah.
Look, I didn't have enough time to put the whole race in the video, okay? But if you guys insist, I may have to go back and upload the whole race just by itself. So.
You could cut out...
fine with that.
Yeah, you can cut out a lot of the middle nonsense and then just go to us passing you and waving. You can do that.
Whatever. I thought I'd already solidified my victory for doing so many laps. Let's say this. Let's agree on this. we lapped everybody else. That's all that matters, right?
That is. We passed a ton of people. It was crazy. So as you stated on the video, we really liked the fact that it had the elevation change, that you really got more speed, right, Bud? Done those drops. So a really beautiful facility. As you said, Clint, they put a lot of money into that facility, and it was jam-packed. And then the Ferris wheel itself, and the video, and you guys can definitely check it out, go to In the Loop to check out that video. You both said that's the best view of any Ferris wheel that you've ever done.
Yes, we've done a lot of the Chance Morgan Ferris wheels, and this is definitely the best view. The one thing that I don't like about Chance Morgan Ferris wheels is I feel like every time I go on them, the air conditioning is just not working enough because they enclose it so you don't get any air circulation whatsoever. And on a day where it was like, what was it, 102 degrees in Niagara that day?
Well, in the falls, holy cow, under the concrete and no trees whatsoever in that area, it felt like it. It really did. Like, thankfully, the manager who really took great care of us, he brought us over and got us water, and that felt like the manna of the earth. Like, that was very much needed at that point. And again, I think that's just not being acclimated to the heat yet, because that felt so hot there. Yeah, I agree, that air conditioning could have been a little bit higher. And as you said in the video, it's interesting because it was kind of windy, and thankfully it was windy, that you really could feel it at the top, that wind blowing the car there.
Yeah, and you could feel the whole Ferris wheel moving because you're so high up and the wind. But yeah, great view in Niagara Falls. That would be a great one to go on at night, so you could really get a really good panoramic view of the whole falls, American and Canadian, and the light up stuff that it does and everything. I think that would be really cool.
Oh, definitely. A great place to get. Yep, I agree. That would look pretty neat at night. Well, it's interesting, all the other things they had, and I didn't know was quite that developed, but as you talk about in the video, we had a Ripley's, believe it or not.
And they had, things where you can turn your hand into wax mold things.
Oh,
cool.
Okay, I didn't even notice that. Some kind of haunted house, an arcade, and you took a video, a lot of that different stuff. So absolutely, again, we raced through it, but you could see spending a whole day there easily.
Yeah, I think Legend who went up right after us and did pretty much the same stuff, but actually spent more time doing it. And he got a chance to check out a lot more of the stuff at the Niagara Speedway Clifton Hills. So, he'll have some stuff in his videos. He also got a chance to go to the falls and do the fireworks and all sorts of fun videos as well. So he'll have a lot more on that. But we're kind of just breezing through because we really were just going to the Niagara Speedway. But then when we saw there's so much more to do, we tried to cram as much as we could in before we drove up to Canada's Wonderland.
And as we know, that's such a gigantic park with so many things to do that you really did need the time there. So you had that evening and then that whole next day. So it was kind of interesting talking about that extreme heat as we left there, sadly, wanting to do more things. And we needed to stop at a gas station just to get some more snacks as well as drinks. And it was literally only about 20 minutes outside of Niagara Falls that we stopped. And what were the conditions like then?
Oh, it was 60, 70 degrees. It felt like 60 degrees and it was windy.
It's the oddest thing that this front was just pushing through. The assumption is if we stayed at Niagara Falls, it would have been like that eventually at that spot too. And you guys picked up some interesting things at that gas station that we stopped at. What did you guys wind up getting?
Yeah, we wanted to get candy that we could not get in America. So I Googled a little bit before we got there. And I was like, okay, I want to get some classic Canadian snacks. And I know my favorite that we got, it was called a Mr. Big Bar.
Okay.
I don't know. That had everything. Clint is still not sure what he thought of it. It tasted to me almost like, the bottom of an ice cream cone where it's got chocolate in the cone. It had that with caramel. It was really good.
That actually does sound really good.
My mouth is watering.
I know that's the best part of that ice cream cone when you have the little chocolate chunk on the bottom. Yes. All right, but we'll look for something like that. We realized
their soda tastes different. We only got Diet Pepsi, but it definitely had a different taste.
It's interesting why they would have different snacks like that. Yeah, Clint.
I accidentally got what was it? Diet something, and it tasted not very good.
Oh, you didn't like it? Okay. It's just slight differences in the country, what kind of things they have.
Speaking of snacks, I still have 2 different flavors of ice cream in my freezer that belong to you guys.
Oh, good. Oh my gosh. Have you been doing a good job? I know you lost a lot of weight and we're so proud of you for that.
I have not eaten any of your ice cream, Adam.
Well, I mean,
heavy in some of the ice cream.
So you can absolutely get rid of it because we are supporting you on your goal to just be as small as you can be.
Or you can send it in the mail to us and we can eat it.
Or you can... Oh, yeah, dry ice? Okay. Yeah, Andrew would be fine with that. So, very cool.
There was also another unique thing on our trip from Niagara to Toronto.
Uh-huh.
And that was this pirate ship that was like half sank on a beach on Lake Erie. And I actually did some more research on that. And it was a ship. It's a very old ship that a guy had purchased and was going to turn it into like a floating restaurant. And then an arsonist started on fire, so it sank, and it's been sitting there ever since. And nobody's claimed it, and it's just sitting there, beached.
Yeah, that's sad. We saw the sign on the drive back, and it said something like Pirate Cove, and we saw signs nearby about like mini golf, and maybe that was part of the whole plans for it. But that's pretty sad. Yeah, it's like a landmark the boys always like seeing, like, oh, where's the pirate ship? And it looks pretty creepy. Like, you could see it definitely being a great haunt. So that's interesting that an arsonist burned it. That's kind of sad, but pretty creepy. All right, well, we got to the park, and it was interesting timing with what was going on with the weather. As soon as we got there were dark clouds rolling in, and it did rain a little bit. Never any thunder, right, guys? I don't remember it actually storming.
I don't think so. I think it just rained.
It was pretty cool, right? Because there was the mass exodus of people out of the park, and we were like, yeah, that's a good thing. Yeah. So in that way, it was good. Now, the odd thing was those first couple of hours there were ominous. Here I am telling you guys, oh, this is the greatest park. You'll love it. And what were some of the calamities that happened there in the first hour or two?
Well, we decided that we were going to try getting a meal. And so we went to this, I keep forgetting the name of it. It has like a movie. What's that?
International.
Well, that's what it is, like an international food court. But it's connected to, isn't it connected to the ride? Like, it's called Backlot something, isn't it?
Yeah, Backlot. That's it.
Yeah.
So it's like this international food place where they have like burritos and Greek food and all sorts of stuff, all these different lines. It was super busy, and it was raining, so the cafe itself was super busy. And so me, Adam, and Andrew are standing in line for the burritos, and Adam and Andrew actually butted in front of me to get into the line, but I was okay with that because they're buddies of mine, and nobody's in a hurry. It was going to take us a half hour to get up to the front of the line.
We're not going to run out of food.
Yeah,
so.
There's no way that they're possibly going to run out of exactly what I want. And so Adam gets up there, and I said, look at that chicken. That chicken looks great. And he goes, give me 3 burritos, 2 chicken, like doing all this crazy ordering.
Uh-huh.
And then I go, can I get a chicken burrito? And she goes, I'm sorry, we're out of chicken. I said, how long is it going to take to make more? And she goes, we're not. And I'm like, what? Like, how are you not going to make chicken for the rest of the people in line? So I was like, fine, I'm going to go somewhere else and eat. And I got out of line. And, Sherry got her food, Adam and Andrew and Alex come over with their food. And then, there's 2 more things that really got me to the point where I was so angry I had to, like, go into a timeout.
And Clint Clint does not get angry all that often. It's not really.
No.
Yeah.
No, I don't get angry all that often.
Not when he's at amusement parks, at least.
Exactly.
So we're sitting down, and Sherry comes out. She doesn't have her soda, and Adam and Andrew come out. They don't have their soda, and they're like, they don't sell sodas in there. And I'm like, what are you talking about? They have to have sodas. They have a soda machine. No, they don't give you your souvenir cup to get sodas in there. You can only buy bottled sodas. And I was like, that has to be a lie. And so I went to a manager and was like fuming at the manager about this. He goes, no, we don't sell soda in there. It's a new thing. You have to go to the stand down the street. And it's like, are you kidding me? You have a place where you have 6 different food lines. I'm not saying this to the manager. I'm saying this in my head.
Yeah.
You have a place that has 6 different food lines, and you can't get a drink with your meal plan. That is ridiculous. And then the piece de resistance on all of this is I walk over, and Adam goes, do you want Alex's burrito? Because he's not going to eat it. Then why did you order the chicken burrito? You mean person.
I remember standing in line and saying, Clint, if you want this burrito, we can order something else. So sorry, that doesn't cut it. And see, this is your memory getting foggy. He had enchiladas. Ha ha ha. He had a cheese enchilada.
It wasn't enchiladas. It was a quesadilla.
Quesadilla. There you go.
Quesadilla.
I knew something. See, I'm all flustered. Just remembering Andrew actually elbowing you in the head to cut you in line. That's what made me fluster there, right? I remember you threw the flying elbow.
Okay.
Clint.
I may have embellished the points with Adam and Andrew, but the rest of it is 100% real. And so I went and got everybody drinks. I got me and Shari drinks or whatever. And brought them back. It was raining. There was only outside seating, so we're sitting out in the rain eating, kind of in a covered area, but it was still dripping all over us.
Yep.
And
what was it? 91% effective.
Yeah, that's what we said. Exactly. It was just a tiny little drips. Very good. Excellent memory. And so that was odd because we had been to that park in the 2 previous years, and of course they had lots of soda machines there. It's your biggest place to sell food in the whole park. Of course you offer people who have their drink plans drinks, but no. When you said it to me, I was just in shock. It wasn't the best start in that way, but thankfully rides did at least start opening after that.
Well, okay, but it didn't get better from there, Adam.
No.
We went over to the Guardians Galaxy.
Guardians of the Galaxy, yes.
We went straight to Disneyland. We were so pissed off.
You wish you were.
Wonder Mountain Guardian, we got in line for. We finally got on it, and it was just upsetting that so many of the stations were not operating.
Oh.
And so that started upsetting me a little bit. And then work-related stuff started flowing in, and it was like, oh, landscaping stuff is happening, and the landscaper's going to walk off the job, and I'm like, why could the go-kart track not be done prior to us going to this place? So
the fact that in those trains, and this has been something that's plagued it for the years that we've been there, that so many seats are closed off, presumably because the guns aren't working. So you had the calamity with the dining, and then you throw on that the capacity for a ride that already has horrible capacity is down because of all those seats that are closed. And yes, it wasn't the best of starts. In my head, I'm thinking, oh boy, this is not good. This has got to get better. So thinking about overall, and then we'll get into some specific rides, as it started getting better from there later into the next day. I was wondering both of your thoughts on just the atmosphere of the park, because this is the exciting thing. The fact that you guys are well traveled. You've been to a lot of parks. There aren't that many major American parks that you haven't been to. So it was exciting for me to experience with you guys. So just your thoughts on the atmosphere, the feel of the park, and then we'll get into some specific rides.
I really enjoyed it. The opening, I guess their International Street is very, very similar to King's Dominion's, and we've had several conversations since going to the park about it. And we even talked to a designer who, oddly enough, had a hand in designing the International Street for King's Dominion, and then commented on the fact that they just used that exact same blueprint because of issues with timing. So they had to build Canada's Wonderland quickly, and so they already had the blueprints for that at King's Dominion, so they just reused them.
Very cool.
Very interesting. But the park is great. It has a good coaster collection. The flat ride collection is really the surprising part of it. It has great flat rides, and it's definitely not one of those parks. It's kind of like it really is a mix of Kings Island, Kings Dominion, and Canada and Carowinds all in one big park. It has some I'll call them Carowinds coasters, coasters that you're just like, I'm never going to do that again.
Yes.
But Leviathan was a great coaster. I really enjoyed the suspended coaster. I don't even remember the name of it, but the suspended coaster was good. Vortex.
Yes.
The only good Vortex.
That's Vortex. There it is.
Yes, compared to Carowinds' version or Kings Island's version, yes.
Oh my goodness, yes. It's a beautiful park too. Walking in, it was like King's Dominion, but King's Dominion with a beauty filter on it. I think it was prettier than King's Dominion, and I love King's Dominion. But like the mountain, and they had like the bridge over the fountain and stuff. It was nice. I liked it.
Yeah, it's interesting that you said that, and I was excited for you guys to see a working mountain again. It's been so long since you've seen it, And it's
Too soon. Too soon.
I know it hurts, but this hopefully relieves some of that pain. And it's interesting because I would say there's not a lot of natural beauty. The park is surrounded by kind of suburban neighborhoods and some commercial buildings and that kind of stuff. But within the park, there are lagoons and beautiful trees and then the mountain. And as you said, the fountains look great. So even though there's not natural necessarily scenery around it, it still is a nice looking park.
Yes, yeah.
Well, so you mentioned getting on Wonder Mountain's Guardian. Now, of course, the line took a lot longer than it should have because so many seats were closed. But what did you think, Shari, of the ride?
It was...
I know.
It was okay.
Yeah.
The graphics weren't great. It was hard to see. I felt like a lot of it. I thought there was going to be more to the ride portion of it.
Yep.
I was kind of sad. I was like, that was it. Okay. But yeah, I don't know. I don't want to give spoilers away. So
I think what she means by the graphics is the projectors were not very good.
Yeah.
So it was very dim and hard to see what you were shooting at and where you were shooting. And even your phaser was not accurate a lot of the time. Or at least mine wasn't.
Oh, totally. You have to aim in a completely different way. Nope, thoroughly agree that the aim isn't great. And so, with a ride that's 5 years old, spoiler alert, I don't know if we necessarily have to worry too much about that. But I think you both said you had a feel, even though you didn't watch a POV, you kind of had a feel of what was going to happen?
something was coming. Yeah.
So in that way,
I knew. I didn't know about the. I knew that it was a shooter dark ride / roller coaster. I didn't know about any of the surprises that were going to be in.
Yeah. But once we came to a stop, I was like, okay, something's gonna happen.
Yeah,
Either a door's gonna open or what happens. But you guys were on the other side of me, and you heard me laugh as soon as it happened.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, oh, there it is.
See, I was by myself.
Yeah,
on
Clint
this.
by himself.
Because the guns were broken and they had to separate our group, and so I had to sit by myself on a car. But I'll say I would have enjoyed it more if I wasn't so pissed off at that point. But I was so pissed off about everything that was going on that when I walked off of it, I was just even more pissed off. So it was like it was a very like dim light of what could have been a great ride if yeah.
He's getting angrier as he remembers.
okay, all right, well, yeah, exactly. Hulk smash. Don't smash the computer. No.
I will say this.
Yeah.
Okay, moving past Wonder Mountain's Guardian and moving past Backlot, which we ended up even going back to the next day to try to eat at, even though we had such a bad experience.
You gave it a second try.
We didn't actually eat there. Did we eat there?
We did.
We did eat there. Okay, we did go back and eat there.
Oh my gosh.
But after all of that, I will say day 2, which was our first full day, me, Shari, Doug, we got our fast lanes, fast lane pluses. Adam, Andrew, Alex did not, but we still got a chance to hang out with them for good portions of the day.
Oh, sure.
Because it was the fast pass system there is really good. Some parts you go to, it's like, it doesn't really, it saves you time. It saves you lots of time, but it doesn't save you the time that they do at Canada's Wonderland, because you will go right into the station and right onto the coaster. Like there is no wait. You are walking right onto the coaster every time. And so that was great. And we really had a great second day. And that's when we did the video. So you can tell we're in a good mood in the video when we're doing it. Me and Shari, actually, I edited it and then we went back and watched it. It's not uploaded yet, so you can't watch it yet. Legend, and we'll get it up sometime soon. And you can definitely tell we're having a great time. We're making fun of the MAGA hats that security had there, and I think we mentioned Canadian geese about 15 times in the video. So
if you're playing a drinking game,
if you want to play a drinking game, every time I talk about Canadian geese, that's your chance to drink.
All right. So Andrew, maybe we should watch that when we go to Free RT. And Yep, because he's practicing for the keg, so.
Okay, good. But no,
working on his skin stand.
Yes, yep, he's doing it. He's doing his first keg stand, of root beer.
We also had a chance to eat at the buffet, which was probably the best amusement park buffet I've been to. I won't say theme park buffet. But for the amusement parks, I think it was probably the best buffet, which, again, is not a high bar, but it was fine. It was good.
Can't beat the price.
Yeah, it was, since we're all having the dining plan, only cost us like $5 to eat there.
Canadian dollars.
Exactly.
Which equaled out to about $1.50. Yeah, no, it's not Canadian dollars. It's 5 loonies.
Right.
So yeah, that turned out to be a great deal.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what made that night a little bit better is when we went to Leviathan after that. And that line was pretty long. You know, the thought process for me this year, and not knowing, the idea that with Yukon Striker opening up, would it ease up Leviathan's line? And at least that night, even after all that rain, we've waited for a pretty good amount. And Shari, I know that was a coaster that really, I think, maybe exceeded your expectations a little bit.
It definitely did.
Yep.
I went in thinking, I was like, okay, it's a shorter version of Fury, and Fury to me is fine, slightly overrated, but no, I was pleasantly surprised by Leviathan. Very happy with that, and I hoped, because Clint was not in the best mood, I was hoping, okay, well, this is perfect. Nothing else would cheer him up more than this. And I think it affected him a little bit, but still, the mood was too far gone at that point.
I was done, and it's kind of a bummer because I don't even remember really enjoying the night ride that we had on it. But man, the next day, and you really see my reaction after we rode it on the day 2. Really enjoyed it. It's definitely in my top 3. It's really hard for me to say which one's going to be better, but it's either Fury, Millennium Force, or that.
But we all know that it's really Steel Vengeance is the best coaster, so it doesn't matter.
Wild Beast is in my top 5, so I'm going to try to place that in there somewhere.
Wild Beast and Grizzly are 4 and 5.
Yeah. Hard to tell those two apart.
Amazing.
So, in other news, back to Andrew's news, Clint Novak is suing Canada's Wonderland because he felt that nobody should ever ride the Beast ever again.
Oh my!
Wild Beast or whatever it is.
Oh my gosh, that coaster. Well, I mean, I guess we can jump over to that. And I don't even remember if I warned you guys. I might have said...
You did not.
Are you sure?
No.
I didn't say...
You acted all sad after we went up there with a video running and tried to slap you in the face, but no. You were like, oh, I thought I warned you. I thought, no, you did not.
Okay, see, I thought I did. I thought I did, but...
If you like Grizzly, it's the same as Grizzly.
Well,
no.
Well,
that explains that weird smirk on your face. Okay, we got it.
Wait, so they didn't...
I thought we were friends.
They didn't fix the 42 potholes? No?
I don't even think that coaster really even has a track at this point.
It's just going over wood. So I guess we could say a Wild Beast could definitely beat a Grizzly in a fight. In terms of ferociousness, I suppose.
Either that or the Wild Beast is just a dead carcass, and I don't know. I don't know what analogy you want to go with. But I will say Andrew had the appropriate response of just breaking the fountain out front of it, just ripping pieces off with his bare hands.
Yes, exactly. Beast. And beast mode yourself. So you're saying that should be a candidate for an RMC conversion?
There is not a coaster in this world that should outrank Wild Beast for RMC.
Yep.
In fact, RMC at this point should just do it for free as a favor to all of Canada.
It's amazing. And the crazy thing is, as you guys noted, and thankfully that had a fast lane spot on that ride, is that ride had a line.
You know what drives me crazy is that had a fast lane. Out of all the rides, nobody wants to rush to do that. You have to mentally prepare yourself for the pain that you're going to go through, so you should have to stay in line.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's crazy, exactly, that had a line almost coming out of the station when that coaster is that bad. Insane, but you did it, and thankfully you weren't in too much pain. It didn't ruin the rest. Yep, you got the credit, and that was it. But yeah, it's insane how bad that is.
We did the SLC coaster on our way out.
Oh, you did?
We got on there, and the ride operator came up and said, "Hey, you're Clint Novak. What are you doing riding an SLC?"
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Wild Beast. It wasn't that bad.
Okay, so you didn't need the earmuffs to protect your ears from bleeding.
I've learned tricks for that type of ride, and lean my ear to my shoulder the entire ride with my head back, and I don't have as much of a problem.
Okay, that's great. I didn't think you were going to try to even get that credit. So hopefully you rode in the front, hopefully?
I don't even remember. Yeah, I don't even remember where we rode it, but it was on the Fast Pass system, so that's why we did it.
Okay.
Basically walk on, sit down.
All right, so good. You got that credit, so that is impressive. I loved your positivity for this next coaster, Shari, that I was amazed to hear where you ranked it personally with Yukon Striker. And this was a coaster you really loved, huh?
I love Yukon Striker.
That's so
Definitely
cool.
My favorite dive coaster.
Okay.
And it's in my top 10, yes.
So what did you love about it?
I think, like, we were discussing it and saying the fact that it has a true inversion and no other dive coaster had that.
Yep.
I really like that.
And Clint, for you like this better than all the other dive coasters as well?
100%, and really it boils down to the effort and ease in which they transport your gear to the other side of the station. It was just truly amazing and really made the whole experience just phenomenal.
That's really when his mood lane does.
I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember the ride itself, but I can tell you that the bin delivery system was worth the trip to Canada.
Well, did you get in the bin to do a POV?
I put it's in the video, and there was some type of camera trick that was used in order to have some fun with it.
Oh, I can't wait to see it. So what do you guys think? I mean, you know theme parks so well. Can you see this system really revolutionizing things and being used in other parks? What do you think?
Well, okay, so the issue that they're going to experience, and they're not going to experience this for a couple of years, but the labor it's going to take to run a roller coaster and a bin delivery system is going to be very high. So they have to staff extra people in order to run the bin delivery system. Now, if that's worth it for the line and everything, that's fine. But really what I see in the future is an entrance and an exit that goes by, like if they had lockers that had that you could access from the front and back of the locker. So once you're walking up to the station, underneath the station, they have a bank of lockers that you walk by. You can put your stuff in the locker, and then when you get off of the ride, you can just type in your code and get it from the back side of the locker.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's my thought anyways. I think, that would be a less labor-intensive version of that. And, the bin delivery system, I think that it's going to work well for them, especially for the first couple of years, because they're really not going to worry about spending labor on running that kind of roller coaster because it's going to be so popular.
Oh, absolutely. Exactly. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see if that does come to other coasters, to other parks, or if this is just a one and done. Well, Behemoth, I don't think you got on as much as you did Leviathan, I think, right?
We just did one, and we thought it was one of the, I would say one of the lower ranking B&M hyper coasters.
It was rough.
Ah, so you noticed the rattle. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, it was like, oh, great airtime, and then rattle, and then airtime again. So it's, yeah.
Now, and that's interesting because in that park with a lot of enthusiasts, the battle is always which one do they like more? Do they like Behemoth and Leviathan? A lot of people say they like Behemoth better than Leviathan. Now, to you guys, that probably sounds shocking.
Yeah, no, Behemoth was definitely lower on the list than, like, I would say my favorite of that type would be Intimidator at Carowinds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're so similar.
I would say, I like Diamondback better than it as well.
Diamondback would be my favorite.
Yeah.
Okay. And interesting because a lot of people call it Diamond Nap. It's all about taste, but so that's interesting. So Behemoth, that rattle was just a little bit too much. You mentioned Vortex, and very similar to the Bat at Kings Island, but what did you think of it?
Absolutely. I really enjoyed it. I love always like those kind of suspended coasters. So I feel like you can never really tell what's next and stuff. I like that kind of ride.
So good, exactly.
I don't like the tame ones like Big Bad Wolf and Iron Dragon, but I do like the intense ones like the ones at Kings Island, Canada's Wonderland. I like those intense ones.
Okay, so I didn't know that Big Bad Wolf was more like Iron Dragon. It was more...
Yeah, I mean, the only good part about Big Bad Wolf was that last drop, and it had 2 lift hills, and most of the time you spent going up a lift hill.
Right. Just like Iron Dragon.
Exactly. It's very similar to Iron Dragon, except that it had theming.
And I love how Vortex there drops off the mountain and then interacts with the water and now interacts with Yukon Striker. So I think in that way, Vortex is really, really cool. Then Mighty Canadian Mindbuster, you did wind up trying it once?
Yes.
Their wooden coaster, yeah. The better wooden coaster, let's say. And did you guys enjoy that one?
It was the better of the 2 wooden coasters, yes.
The better of the 2 wooden coasters.
Which...
It really just kind of lacked anything. I feel like it was, yeah.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of speed. There wasn't a lot of airtime. It was kind of like, okay, that's a ride.
Well, kind of like Cedar Point now, you could see that as a giant negative for the park, not having a stellar wooden coaster, something that they definitely
Absolutely.
need. Yep.
You probably know this. I love wooden coasters.
Yes.
For a long time, my top 10 was all wooden coasters. So it's since changed a little. But
okay,
yeah,
well,
wooden coasters are my favorite.
All right, so here's the deal, Shari. Next year, and we've got to start thinking about it now, you've got 362 days. So this is my wish for you, since you adore wooden coasters. We need to get you to Hollywood Nights next year.
Yes. I think Voyager might become a top 3, possibly higher. So yes, I need to.
The insanity of those 3 coasters, and certainly the Voyage gets the headlining applause, but those other 2 cannot be ignored. If you put Raven in any park, which is the smallest, it's going to be that park's best wooden coaster. Raven is so insane, and riding these 3 coasters at night in Legend is nuts as well. Riding those 3 coasters at night in the pitch black through the woods, it's not a roller coaster experience. It's next level. And it's hard to explain, but I-305 is like a wacky worm compared to these 3 coasters at night.
Oh my goodness.
It is. It's insane. Maverick, like a nice little 6-foot junior coaster. Like Bud, right? Sherry's just saying that she loves wooden coasters, and we're trying to get her to Hollywood Nights. Would you tell her?
You gotta get there. Once you ride these coasters, it's gonna be like, you'll ride like Grizzly or something, and you'll be like, wow, that coaster sucks.
That's a little harsh. But
Well, yeah, talk to Clint about that.
I know. And I know that those aren't Clint's favorite rides. That's the tough part. But Clint, I'll ride Thunderbird with you 74 times.
Okay, if you do it 74 times, I will think about going.
And that's the funny thing is, with Hollywood Nights, you actually can, in 2 days, ride a coaster 74 times. That is a guarantee, because you get so much ERT with no lines at all on most of the coasters that it is completely doable.
Did they say what year the Hollywood Nights was this year? Like, was it their 10th annual? Or?
So it was our third, you noodle.
Oh.
It was our third.
I was thinking of something else.
Yes, clearly. You know, it was Stark Raven Mad when it was just the Raven, so they had that, and then eventually, I guess after the other 2, they switched it over. Now, it's funny, they don't put any numbers on it, and I really should know, but since the Voyage is 2006, along with El Toro, that means that this is definitely going on for longer than that. I would say it's got to be closing in on almost 2 decades. Not quite there, but something like that.
Okay, so I went to the first and second Hollywood Nights.
Okay. Wow. All right.
And Voyage was at both of them. So maybe Voyage was new at the time? I don't know.
Okay, so that's probably why you didn't like the coasters. Now they've gotten so much smoother and better.
Well, they have. I mean, they do a ton of work on them. They're crazy experiences. Yeah, it's just something we would love to get you guys to. They take such good care of you. And you know that, Clint, you know what those employees are like. And in terms...
I remember, okay, so the Cook family, just a quick history lesson. Will Cook passed away When I had gone, he was still there both times, and his mother was still part of the park. And then it kind of got broke up through family squabbling afterwards, and now Pat Cook is no longer part of that park. I remember walking into the park the first time and just saying hello to Pat because I'd seen her in videos and stuff before. And then no other conversation did I have with her. And then the second year I came back, and she walked up to me and she said, "Welcome back. I'm so glad that you came back again this year." And I was like, how did she, like, she sees millions of people every year. How did she know that I was there last year? I mean, not a lot of people wear a propeller beanie, I guess, but it really meant something to me that, and I don't think that the park has lost that kind of charm. And that's why it wins Golden Ticket Awards, is because they really do have a great cast of employees.
Well, Clint, even back then you were a mildly popular internet star, so of course she would remember you.
What was the other term you used?
Mildly popular and
sort of famous, something like that.
Sort of famous.
Slightly internet famous. There we go.
Slightly famous.
Now, Clint, let me see if you remember this, though, and this Shari and you would both love as well. Now, were the two water coasters there, Mammoth and Wildebeest?
No, those came in after, and when I went there, they didn't have Pilgrim's Plunge, and then they had Pilgrim's Plunge, and now they've taken it out. So it's been such a long time since I've been to the park that they've put in an Intamin water ride and remove that Intamin water ride.
And that's also after changing the name from Pilgrim's Plunge to Giraffica to nothing. And it's crazy because that station's still there. It looks beautiful. It's incredible. And still nothing's there. The trough is there, right, bud?
there's a show there. It's called like the Wild Turkey.
Although we didn't see it, some kind of stunt show that they have in that building. But it'll be interesting to see when and if they actually do put something in that station, because it still looks incredible. So just the last thing with that, trying to get you both there, then those are by far the two best water park attractions in the world. We get 2 hours of ERT on the Friday in the water park, just those two water coasters. Go ahead, sell those two water coasters, dude.
Okay, so I think Wildebeest, there, one where it's like most of them, where it's like you're lined up in a row.
4 people in a row, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the only water slide that I've ever gotten airtime on. You actually get airtime on it, and you get like the raft goes like up off the track.
You lift off and you're launched through the air for long stretches of time. It's the second longest water coaster in the world. It's incredible. It lasts forever. Then Mammoth is the longest water coaster in the world, where you're all facing each other, so it's a more social environment. And some of the elevation, the lifts into the drops, I mean, are just incredible. So a lot of people who are coaster enthusiasts say the Friday night is their favorite part of the event. Add to that they feed you so incredibly well that it's just an amazing experience. So I would love that more than anything to get you guys to Hollywood Nights next year. And Shari, with her wooden coaster love, would have to do it. Back to Canada's Wonderland. Did you guys wind up doing Backlot Stunt Coaster?
No, we did not.
Okay, because we know, obviously, you know that incredibly well, so it wasn't just for the credit. You already said you didn't wind up doing Time Warp. Another clone that you guys have at King's Dominion, I'm assuming you didn't do your Ghoster Coaster.
No, we did not.
Okay. Did you wind up doing your Boomerang, which doesn't have fast lane?
We did not.
Okay, so
we missed a lot of coasters. We missed one of them in the mountain too. The
Thunder.
one that's in there.
The powered coaster, Thunder Run.
Yeah.
And that makes...
So we need to go back to Canada's Wonderland as to what we're saying.
All right, well, for those it makes sense because...
Not on Victoria Day.
And not on Victoria Day.
Next year.
Yep. Exactly, so we can arrange that. I'm guessing with that you also didn't do the mouse coaster, your Wild Mouse The Fly.
Nope.
Okay, so that's good. And it makes sense because those are all rides that aren't on the Fast Pass system. So I think in that way, it gives you another reason to come on up and see us, and I'm completely okay with that. All right, well, in terms of the flat ride collection, but I think we'll do this for a ride of the day. So Sledgehammer, what'd you guys think?
You know, it looks very impressive, and it was a fun ride, and I thought it would be more intense than it was, and it really wasn't that bad. So really, it's actually a fun ride, and it's not going to give you that extreme feeling like that one ride did at Fantasy Island.
Yes.
It was a really good ride. I enjoyed it. I really like watching it. Watching it is impressive.
It sort of looks like something alien out of a sci-fi movie in that way. There's that movie Monsters vs. Aliens, and like the spaceship that comes down, and it kind of looks like that. So I agree that it's a great looking one. Did you wind up doing Skyhawk to see how many spins you guys could get? Oh no, it was
closed.
That's right. Okay, so that's sad. So that's another reason you got to come up for that.
That is another thing that I have to add to my strongly worded letter to the culinary staff at Canada's Wonderland. So,
as deserves to be written. The other odd flat ride, Soaring Timbers. It was that one near the mountain that sort of looked like it was on like a platform and spun around in weird ways. I don't know if you wound up doing that one.
No, we didn't actually. After we left you guys, we didn't do too much more. I think we did Yukon Striker again,
Leviathan again,
and then we just did the SLC because it was on our Fast Pass system.
Okay.
And it got really cold, and they didn't have sweatshirts of my size, so we ended up heading back to the hotel soon after.
Oh, and that's something I completely forgot about. That whole interesting shop phenomenon of why everyone was running to the shops that day.
Everybody was buying sweatshirts. They ran out of sweatshirts.
Oh, it was wild how much colder it got. So that was kind of interesting. Let's have Alex sing our tip of the day.
Tip of the day, tip of the day. It's the tip of the day. Tip of the day, tip of the day. It's the tip of the day. Yeah.
For our tip of the day, we're going to put you on the spot for our tip of the day, guys. And for this tip of the day, a tip for enjoying your day at Funland of Fredericksburg. Give us the general manager tip of the day for how to have a great day, a tidbit or two about what could make a day at Funland that much better.
This is going to be the biggest tip I can give everybody, from GP to the biggest coaster fan. Don't come on Saturday.
Okay. All right.
We do wristbands every day, 363 days a year, or 363 days a year. So if you can come on during the summer on a weekday, you're going to get everything done in no lines, and you're just going to have a blast. If you come Saturday at 3:00, you're going to be trying to have a blast with about 300 other people, and it's a small park, so.
So it's like the old Yogi Berra saying where he said, "No one ever goes there; it's too busy." So stay away.
No one ever goes there; it's too busy. Yep, that's it.
So Shari, hit us up too, even if it's something that you love doing there. A tip from you about Funland.
Well, one tip I would say is get the wristband, because it's definitely financially worth it as opposed to paying per ride. I really enjoy Twist and Shout, so that's a fun one. That's one you can ride over and over.
And what kind of ride is that?
It's a spinning coaster.
Oh, a spinning coaster and a
Time traveler?
a time traveler, kind of like that, but better.
It's a very family friendly.
Yeah, it is Fredericksburg, Virginia's version of Time Traveler.
Absolutely.
It has multiple launches. It does a lot of spinning. So yes, there's a lot of things that it has in common with Time Traveler.
And it has a much better lighting package than Time Traveler too. So, yep.
Of course, yes,
exactly. Very cool.
What about you guys? This is one of Andrew's favorite places to go in Virginia. So he continues to tell me. So what tips do you guys have for people when they come to Fredericksburg, Virginia?
Okay, so I would give them advice to definitely do the climbing wall because it's very worth it and fun. To do the VR and the laser tag. Those are all really fun.
I have to agree with that wholeheartedly. I would say that I think a lot of people would have the expectation of a family entertainment center that it would be a 1 or 2 hour thing, as I would think a lot of them are. For experience of going to Funland of Fredericksburg, I would say a lot, almost a full day if you can. And this is where I agree the whole not going on a Saturday thing is paramount at that park. Because there are so many things to do, not only the ones you just mentioned, but then then mini golf, and now the go-kart track and batting cages, or multiple go-kart tracks, batting cages, then all those arcade games, and then the bumper cars we haven't talked about, and the other flat rides too, and we haven't talked.
And I assume Alex's favorite thing to do at Funland is mini golf, because he would not stop about mini golf.
He absolutely adores mini golf. He makes sure we do it every time we go there. He also loves going after the prizes in the prize machines, and he loves those that you have there as well. So there are just so many things there. So I'd say a lot of full day if you can. And in that way, it goes along with Sherry's point of getting the bracelet. There's just too many things to do. And it's a place where you've just added so many new things and just don't come on Saturday. So I really kind of like that. Excellent tip of the week there, as Funland just keeps getting better and better.
Clint loves bare-naked ladies whose concerts make him shout.
In a song they mentioned Canada's Wonderland.
How cool is that? Novak out.